fuckwits.
Well, this is
and I just don't know. I don't know how you maintain your sanity.
well, I think you've already described it. It's a geographical mental state. Years ago, before my daughter was born, I remember there was a group in San Antonio that, or right about the time my daughter was born, there was a group in San Antonio that was protesting against this radio station, and I think it was called Magic 105, and they, of course, they had the word magic in there, and they had as their symbol, they had a dragon, so they had this group of picketers out in front of the place. Now, this was a group of religious whack jobs who said that the way to tell if your kid is satanic is if they wear dark clothing, and if they have a fondness of candles, and if they were into heavy metal music, and did they like anything medieval. So if you were a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, you're out. I'm sorry, this is 1980s. If you're listening to the most...
What about Harry Potter?
I don't even want to get Harry Potter yet. I'm going to get there. Okay, momentarily.
Well,
but I got to tell you about
for
this.
2 minutes,
sure.
Please. You keep on ranting. I'll be able to hear what you say.
All right. I'll pick up on that story in just a moment when DPR gets back. Harry Potter is the devil. Let's see. You like Zappa by any chance? I do some. Let's see. I tell you what, Zappa had a member in his band who played Judas Iscariot in the original the movie for Jesus Christ Superstar. The guy who played Judas I thought was wonderful. I actually had an opportunity to play Judas myself when the University of Texas at El Paso 20 years ago was going to try to do a musical. It didn't happen because they couldn't find enough people that could sing. But I remember they grabbed me, or they wanted somebody to look like Judas Priest to do Judas. And so they grabbed me and they said, do you know anything about this part? And I remember singing that whole song. No, I won't do it right now because I'm sitting in the backyard, as I said, in the suburbs, and I'm not going to make a hell of a lot of noise. But yeah, I was very fond of that character in that movie, of the part that he played, the way that it was represented, and the Jesus Camp. I don't even want to get started on that. Dream Theater? No idea. You'd have to explain that one to me. Okay, always look on the bright side of death. If you haven't seen Jesus Christ Superstar, he was a slender black man, and I don't remember any other way that I can distinguish him. I remember how he stood out in the movie, but how you would know him from the band, I'm not sure. I was never huge into Zappa. I've only seen a few videos, listened to a few tunes. I know people look like Dimebag Darrell and Lemmy, and yeah, that's the people I hang with, and they've always kind of been that way. All right, now DPR, let me know when you're ready to continue this.
Sorry, would continue.
I was telling you about those people in San Antonio.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can continue now. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
Okay, Chris Poland. I don't know him either. I've been kind of out of mainstream media for a while. Like I said, I haven't turned on a television in 5 years, and I feel a lot smarter because of it.
I'm likewise. I find television to be utterly banal.
Yes.
And I think the greatest cure for any illness is to lie in bed and watch daytime television. Because if that doesn't get you out of bed and back to work, I don't think anything will.
One of my problems, I lived with a woman who wanted to emulate that. She would watch daytime TV and then try to reproduce that in our lives. I mean, I don't need that kind of drama. You know?
How, in what way did she reproduce it?
Oh,
or seek to reproduce it?
You know, at one point she was. No. I'm not even getting into this because these are people who still integrate in my life a little bit. I'm going to leave them alone.
All right.
I'm going to go back to people I mentioned in San Antonio. These people that were protesting and doing talks, seminars to tell people about how to recognize whether your children is a Satanist. Now, back then there wasn't a fear of atheism. Atheism was such a small, pathetic number. Nobody worried about them. It was all of the devil. Everybody was a devil worshiper. I mean, I remember Pat Robertson holding up an album of Ozzy Osbourne, you know, Speak of the Devil, saying, "See, Satan is talking to you children through this music." And this woman gave talks that if your kids were into D&D, which was popular at the time, if they were into heavy metal, which was popular at the time, if they were into, you know, any of these things that was popular at the time, then they were devil worshippers. It was absurd. Now, I had been given a pentacle by a witch friend of mine, and while I was never pagan myself, it was a nice pentacle, and it had a nice crystal on it and some other little baubles, and I thought it was kind of cool. And I tend to accept gifts and, you know, take it for the sentimental value of the person that gave it to me. So I happened to get stopped wearing this pentacle by someone who was a witch and invited me to attend this little celebration in their coven. I went, and I happened to cross some very interesting people. I went to some nice ceremonies, very pretty, and I remember telling these people that they had this beautiful garb on and everything. This is very, you know, quite nice and all that, but you don't really believe that there's gods sitting over the ceiling watching what's going on in here, right? Like I said, charming celebration. I just wasn't able to get fully into it. These people included a couple of people that were not neo-pagan witches. They considered themselves druids, very nice professional couple, and they somehow got targeted by this woman that was doing these seminars, who was giving these talks. I mean, this little Christian community had come out to her house and poured motor oil all over her front porch. Now, she was 9 months pregnant, and she comes out, and there's motor oil poured all over her porch, and there's a 12-foot long banner in her front yard that said, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." Now, worse than that is one of the high priest of the Forge Coven at that time, his son, 13 years old, walking to school wearing a pentacle. It was his birthday present from his father, is his pentacle. He was shot in the back and killed by another child, a classmate, who cited "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live" as his legal defense, expecting that the police were going to accept that excuse, or that the courts would. True stories.
Well, I was, before you mentioned that last aspect of that account, I was going to ask, when you talked about the oil and the banner and everything like that, you know, did the police not do anything about it? But I mean, I find it absolutely extraordinary.
Now I want to clarify something else.
Anyone who behaved like that in this country would be deemed to be clinically insane and locked up.
Well, you'd think so, but
and the police would take serious action against them. And I just can't believe that this sort of thing happens. And
I don't think you're correct, DPR.
I know it's a wrong expression, but I mean, please God, tell me that defense did not stand up for 1 second.
No, it did not. But I think your situation is worse than you imagine it. I mean, because I don't know. I don't live in England, but you know, I've watched a lot of Pat Condell's videos. I've watched a few other newsreels of you know, Muslim uprisings and whatnot. I don't think your sanctuary is near as strong as you think it might be.
Neither do I. I think that I've often said, if you want to see what will happen in this country, look at America 10 years ago, and that's the state we're at. And in 10 years' time, we will be, if we're not careful, in a similar position. Can I just apologise, by the way? At this time of day, I get a really bright sunshine coming through the window, which I brought the blind down, which I'm not trying to hide my face. It's just I can't see the computer screen if I have it any higher. There are a number of creationist schools being set up. There is a creationist sort of zoo fun park type thing being set up, which apparently has government funding, which has caused not enough uprising, so to speak, as it ought to. But these things are slipping in, and I think you're right. We've got to be careful about it. There's a government-funded school just south of where I used to live, up in Newcastle, in Gateshead, which Richard Dawkins has written letters to the papers and publicised and whatever, because it's getting government funding and it's teaching creationism. And this is all down to Tony Blair. Now, the fact that Tony Blair is religious, kept it hidden, I think is an act of utter lack of integrity, but leave that aside. It is slipping in slightly.
No, I want to clarify something else, DPR, because this is important too. I don't want people to think that I'm generalizing in this way, because I'm going back 20 years in the most extreme area to the most extreme people to find an example that I just brought up. Okay? Now, as I said, almost every house on this street is filled with believers.